Good news for renters this morning. The end of summer means more properties are becoming available, making it the perfect time to secure a cheaper lease.
Dr. Andrew Wilson is here to tell us more. Good morning to you, Andrew.
Hi Jane, hi David.
Mate, how are you?
Good.
So why is now a good time?
Well, we've certainly got much better conditions in the rental market than we've had for a few years. We've seen rents falling, down around 4% in Sydney and Melbourne over the past year, down a couple of percent in Brisbane and Perth. So lower rents are good news for tenants.
Yeah.
And look, a few reasons behind it. We've had a surge in first home buyers over the last couple of years. That means less demand for rental properties. Migration's just come off the ball. We've had strong migration until recently, still pretty solid. And of course we've had a boom in apartment development, so more supply coming through. So less demand, more supply, lower rents.
So you're a tenant out there, how do you get a better deal?
Well, negotiate. I mean, that's the point. I mean, tenants have had it tough really in most capital city markets for years, but now perhaps not so much the whip hand, but they've certainly got more leverage. So use that leverage and ask for some rent relief, some better conditions, make some improvements to the property. Because the landlord now, really has to, I guess, listen in a market where there's less demand.
So if you are leasing a property,
Yes.
what should you be looking out for?
Well, I think it's always important once you negotiate better terms and conditions to get a lease. I mean, the thing about having a tough rental market over the past few years is that governments have responded, and we have had some legislative changes that mean that you can have a longer lease, longer than 12 months. Perhaps you can have a pet, and you can make some small improvements to your property without the landlord's permission. So look, that's a good thing. Make sure you take advantage of those new rules, and it's a home, not just a house sort of thing. And we need to recognise that tenants have rights to tenure, even though they're not owners per se.
Quite often though, if you've already been in a lease for 12 months, there can be like a sneaky little rent increase that they'll put on is there a way around that? If you've already got the property, you don't want to go out looking for another one, but you really don't want to cop that rental increase.
Well, I think the landlord doesn't want to go out looking for another tenant at the moment. So perhaps, you can say...
You call their bluff?
Absolutely. And look, that is the point at the moment. It's not just about, I guess, it's also if you're an existing tenant, you can think about upgrading to perhaps a bigger property or a property closer to the city or closer to the beach. Better quality property. So
you've got to move though, and that means packing.
Well, I know that, but it's still, perhaps you can bluff the landlord saying, well, I'm out of here. I'm going to the double story down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
This falling rent prices, what does this mean for the market and all the doomsday headlines we're seeing about the market?
Are
these things connected?
There's always two sides to a story, isn't there? And this is actually good news for first home buyers because they pay less rent, they can save more, get into the market sooner. And of course, it's a good time for first home buyers at the moment. Lower rents, and of course, they may get lower house prices and maybe lower interest rates sooner rather than later. Not so good news for landlords though, who are getting a lower return on their investment, and they've had to pay higher interest rates and found it a lot tougher to get a loan. I guess one of the big issues is those apartment markets in Sydney and Melbourne, which are currently certainly got a lot of stock there. And if you've got fewer tenants and fewer landlords, it's not good news for developers.
It could just mean it's easier for first home buyers to get into the market though.
Well, that's true, and that's what I mean. These things balance out. It's a matter of looking at the longer term nature of the cycle. And of course, it's a lot of doom and gloom for homeowners, but tenants have got a bit more of a smile on their face and a jaunt in their step.
Oh, it's good to give the tenants a bit of power every now and then.
It is. More power to tenants.
Thank you,
Good on, Andrew. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Still